Hey everyone, I'm Patrick. Welcome to the new monthly project. This is number 47. The theme for this month is X-Men 97. I thought this would be super fun, something to really get excited about. I know there's a lot of X-Men fans, especially amongst my art community, so this would be a really cool theme for that. The new show has been out on Disney Plus for a while now. It's really good. Anyways, so let's get into it. My patrons have gone away for the month. They've done some fan art on X-Men 97. Let's check it out and see what everyone's come up with. Each month I pick 3 submissions to critique. Congrats to Jacob, Andrew, and Patrick. I'll give you some feedback soon. Alright, let's check out our first submission from Liam. This is awesome, absolutely epic. And this piece is based off the Age of Apocalypse. And you mentioned, it's one of the most badass X-Men stories of the 90s. It's basically where Professor X's super powerful but crazy son travels 20 years into the past to kill Magneto, but he accidentally kills Xavier instead, erasing himself from existence. And that means no more X-Men. And that's where Apocalypse starts his world domination earlier. And because there's no X-Men to stop him. And the story follows Magneto's band of rebel mutants. And that's all these guys. This is crazy. And you also shared the cover that it's based off. This is Joe Mad's X-Men Alpha cover. And there's your version there. So really, really cool to see that you've done your own kind of spin on it and redrawn and done all these cool characters. This is a huge job. Absolutely mammoth piece. Love Apocalypse up there. And all of these characters, their action poses are awesome. Really well done. Looks like so much fun. Just having a closer look at all of these ones through here. Oh, that is so cool. Look at Nightcrawler through there. That's awesome. Really, really cool. Love this. I like the kind of VHS, texture that's over the top of it all. But overall, got to commend you for putting so much effort in. The amount of dedication in this is amazing. And the art looks awesome. Really well done. Nice work, Liam. And I've got some submissions here from Paul Cameron. You sent a bunch. You've got a bunch of X-Men ones in here. I saw Cap, but I don't know if he was in the show. I did see his shield in the trailer, but here's Cyclops, really cool. And by the way, that Cap, I like the way your anime style kind of works. You've been practicing this a lot lately, the anime style, and all the work you've been putting out is killer. Have a look at that. I love that Cyclops there. That is awesome. This is amazing. I especially love Wolverine's expression there and just his setup, and then Cyclops in the foreground here. That's really cool. Nice piece. Daredevil there. I'm not sure if he's in the show as well, but Gambit, that is a really cool killer piece there. His eyes look awesome. That expression, the hair, the pose, really like this piece. Gambit again, right there. I really like that setup there. Awesome work. Kingpin. We got Rogue here and some Sentinels in the back. Really, I love that angle, especially like how she's more in focus and the Sentinels are kind of blurred out. That's really cool. I feel like this is a scene from a motion picture, or, like an actual animation, and it's like a still frame of it. It looks awesome. Spider-Man and Hulk there. That's a really cool piece. Love that. I'm glad you shared all these with me. It's just nice to flick through them all. And Storm, I love that piece. I do remember this one. Really good one. Look at those details. Once you zoom in, I really like the way that's all set up there. Cool pose. Wolverine. Oh, yep. This is like a separate full shot of him there, which is amazing. Really like the way this looks. That's cool. Really cool. And Gambit. Oh, yeah. That's the same Gambit we saw before. Placed over. Nice. Wolverine coming at us. This is amazing. Have a look at that. Here we go. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. We got something to look forward to there with the new movie coming out soon. But and I know that's not part of the 97 animation, but it's just cool to see your work on it while we're flipping through X-Men stuff. So yeah, nice work there, Paul. Really nice to see you just submitting all of that. Nice. All right, next up, we've got Abby's submission. Wolverine here, classic Wolverine. Really nice to see you doing some more artwork, Abby. Really nice work on Wolverine here too. Have a look at those colours, super vibrant. Really loving all that. Nice action pose there too. Really dynamic pose there. He's coming right at us. I love that. Next up, we've got a piece from Dan Irwin. Cyclops blasting away. Really, really cool setup there. I bet he was a lot of fun to draw. Cyclops is probably one of my absolute favourite characters of the X-Men. Nice work, Dan. Next up, we've got Paul, and you've done Rogue. You've also got Jean Grey, or Phoenix, up through there. And also Psylocke down there as well. But that's really cool. I love the way you've done Rogue here. That pose is really well done. Really like the way she's kind of moving through there. Super dynamic. Coming right at you. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I would have loved to see these other two in the back in full color. I think that would have worked even better to have them in there. But yeah, nice work as always, Paul. Looks really good. Next up, Scott Jackson. Got a bunch of X-Men here. Storm, Gambit, Beast, and Wolverine. Nice to see you putting some more work out and joining in on this. This is awesome. Really cool to see. If I was going to critique this, I would have said something more on the lines of maybe rearranging them so that they're not... It's almost like they're perfectly placed 1, 2, 3, 4. If we had them more mixed up, you know what I mean? Like one's a bit closer, one's a little further back. Had them a bit more jumbled. I think that would have been really cool for a final piece. But that's just a slight little bit of feedback for you. But yeah, really cool. All right, last up is Sai. You've done Rogue. Really cool piece. I like the way you've done her face here. Now, you sent another piece in because you mentioned you're not a fan of this kind of style, like the anime kind of style, so you did another version in your kind of style. I like the way that you've kind of done that, you know what I mean? Like you pretty much redrew the entire character the way you wanted to do it. I personally really love this. I love the way that she looks here. It's super vibrant, like it's popping. She looks straight out of the show. It's great. Really love the way that works. And don't get me wrong, I really like the way yours is done too. It really is a whole different style, hey? So it's cool to see that comparison and the way you've done it there. Cool. I like the expression there. And you've got like a different kind of rendering style going through her as well. Yeah, nice work there, Sai. And we have one more submission here. Carl, you just sent this in just on time right at the end. Wolverine. You mentioned you were a bit tight on time, so it's just the inks at the moment. This is cool. I like the aggression. Cool style. I like that kind of cartoony or just edgy kind of Wolverine there. Looks pretty cool. Like what you've done, right? Thanks for that, Carl. Glad you snuck that in. All right. Our first critique is from Jacob Wells. And I really like your Wolverine here. Very cool setup. You got the entire, like the way you've done an entire backdrop, especially with the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, and just the destruction and the explosion. Very cool, very smart setup. The rubble and all that. Pose is cool. Love how he's leaning his leg up on there. Super strong kind of pose. Now, I'll give you some feedback, see if I can help you with this in any way I can. I would have actually made use of the space a little more, maybe zoom it in more, like this. I know you're losing that sign, but you could easily put that up somewhere else. Before, he's just a little too far back for me. There we go. Something like that. So I've actually, I sized up the side bits, so I brought them in more, kind of like that, so that you get, you know, it's all held together a little more. Another thing you could do as well is get some of that smoke. You need to kind of frame off the side of the piece there. I would, you know, something like this, and really shave off. I mean, not shave off. Frame the canvas, the composition, so you can really. Yeah, I just think that would top it off if you had a little bit of smoke or something up there too. To really hold the whole thing together. So now, as for Wolverine himself, like I said, I really like his pose. I just feel like some parts of the drawing might need a little work. So the hands and the fists, I think they need to be refined a little more. I'll redraw over this in a minute, and I feel like the hands are just a bit too big. Let me resize a few things here and there that I think need a little bit. Here we go. So just two of the main things that I saw proportion-wise was just the hands I felt were a little too big before. So That's what it was. That's what it is now. I'll redraw over that a little bit later, but the ears as well, the suit ears, were just out a little far for Wolverine. So I just brought them, made them a little more pointy. But yeah, the rest I would probably just... So there's something going on with the... I feel like some of these lines are a little too prominent, like through the muscles here. Like there's an extra kind of bulge through here. I think I'd fade that out a little bit. But I think what the best thing to do is, mainly with the abs as well, it's not too bad, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's the approach when drawing the muscles has kind of got a little off a little bit. So in the way of detailing, so these leg muscles here, it's just a little bit too, I don't know what you'd say, kind of clumpy, or the muscles kind of look a little, I don't know, uncomfortable or something. It doesn't look quite right the way they're drawn in here. So I'd probably just redraw the structuring of that to get that right. It's nothing major. Like it's, I was just pointing out that because yours are fine. I just think some of these choices in making these lines really prominent, I'd tone them back, or even not put that one in there. That's the one bulging out a little bit there that's bothering me. So I'd probably just stick to just mainly a bicep, and then the forearms kind of coming around, and keep it really a bit more simplified. And then if you want to do little nicks and details extra, just do really fine little lines like this that kind of come up and resemble those little bits, even veins or whatever else you want to add through to really add, because your style, you have a very edgy kind of style, and I think that'd be really cool. So yeah, lots of muscles, like little scratches and stuff here for your muscles that you could probably do, things like that. But yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to point out. So see how I've gone really bold in some areas and then kind of really thin. I think that'd be really cool in your style. And you have got a little bit here, but I'd like to keep it more consistent. Sorry, not inconsistent. I think it just needs more flow. Do you know what I mean? Like, all I'm seeing is a little bit too bumpy, maybe a little unsure. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just, I'd like to see a little bit more like flow, like bicep, big curve, wrist, just you could have some edging and then just smooth it out kind of thing to it like that. So it's a much more simplified version, right? But here it's a little too bumpy, bicep, but that straight line there, a bit unsure. I think it's the tricep, sorry. And then, and so on. So yeah, I'd simplify the line work a little more and try and do something along these kind of lines. And the abs through here, I just wanted to talk about a little bit as well. I feel like they need to be wider, and maybe just when they're drawn in, structured a little more. So wherever the shadows and the darker parts of the abs were, I went heavier, and then we thin it out to finer details, to basically zero here where there's no line. You can do breaks in the lines sometimes, which you have too, but it's more the structure. Sorry if I'm a bit nasally, I haven't been too well lately. But yeah, so just the structuring of the muscle anatomy, I think, would really help if that was tidied up more throughout the character. Same with the knee. Like I said before, just simplify it a bit more. Less bumps throughout. So I just went for that simple muscle through there. You can kind of see it. Doesn't have to be that refined. The knee, you can see that's going to go through that way. One big curve for the main top part of the leg, just smooth it right out, and that's about it. And I went a little darker through here, still not perfect. I need to smooth that out some more, but yeah, I'd simplify that part a lot more as well. So I've just updated the eyes as well, and I feel like that would really top this off. So just because they're such a focal point in the character, first thing you'll probably look at is the face and eyes. So I felt like before they were just a little too circly, like too rounded off. Wolverine, there's, you've probably seen it a million times where his eyes are a bit more like this, like Batman almost, wide-eyed, but like you can really thin them out and bring them out to the sides more to give him that edgier kind of look, and I think that works quite well like that. So yeah, I'd recommend doing that. And then there was those kind of changes there, and then overall, and then in the end, obviously I recommend zooming it in, cropping it off, framing it, doing that smoke again. So the only other thing that I would mention really quickly is just the claws. I would have they're a bit too bulky, they're a bit too huge, so I'd probably thin each blade out a little more and add like a slight curve like that. You see there's like a little bit of a curve in there, and I think that would really top it off. Whoops, sorry, I just zoomed way in. But that's just before they're a little too chunky for me. I just think that thinning them out and curving them slightly would really make it look proper. Okay, that's all I'll say. Awesome work there, Jacob. Really love this one. Okay, next critique is Patrick De Thomas, and you've done a really cool, massive X-Men 97 piece here. Have a look at this; it's huge. And you got the Sentinel, being taken down, and the whole team. I love that you've put so much effort into all of this, like every character, and it's nice seeing your style. All right, I'll give you some feedback on this one. I really like their poses, especially Rogues coming through like that. And, really awesome stuff. All right. Characters like Beast, I would have loved to see a little more texturing through the fur. He's a little bit smoothed out. He should be quite hairy, you know what I mean? That would have been really cool to see a bit more fur through him. All right, so I just did a camera raw filter. But basically, I wanted to brighten him up or just add contrast to him. So you can see from a distance he's kind of popping a little bit more now, but like I said, would have loved to see a little more contrast through the fur. I was just messing around a little bit with the like a fur kind of texture throughout. You can see what I mean. Like I'd really love to see a bit more of that through him. Really cool pose though. I feel like the other thing that this piece needs overall is a lot of black, because at the moment throughout there's not too much black for density. Do you know what I mean? Apart from Wolverine there on his clothes, but even so, I'd love to see inside of his mouth, you could really bump up the density on those kind of darker areas there like that. And I'll just desaturate that a little bit and it should fix it. But pretty much just pure black inside underneath the teeth there would really work wonders for this, I reckon. See, before it's just a bit too bright, so just want to add a little bit more contrast through those kind of areas. I feel like parts like his body here need to kind of join up a bit. You've got this kind of bump and a break there between, but you got that shoulder muscle should really continue on through, and the big laterals can keep bending around. Really think that's kind of what that bit needs there. You could have the claws a lot brighter. I'd brighten them up, make them more shiny. And I think it just needs more density through the character overall. So through the black parts of his mask and anywhere with the suit, I'd just have pure black in a lot. And you'll get a lot of contrast through. You could probably do it in your style more, and especially around the eyes. You see, like here. So wherever you get the eyes like that, and I would just blacken right through and all the way around his eyes. See what I mean? I'll just merge that with the mouth bit that I just changed. Yeah, so see that? A little bit more contrast through the whole character would really help. It's just a bit too pale in a lot of the areas there. Same with a lot of the others as well. Just a little bit more contrast. Doesn't have to be pure black like this. I'll just sample that color that you've got there, the darker color, and I'll just darken it just a bit more, and then outline it in some parts just to get contrast in this jacket in some areas. I reckon would really help. There we go. So in camera raw filter, I'm just trying it on Rogue again, and I'm really putting the clarity up to 100, and a little bit of texture as well, but not much. And I think that really just helps her pop a little bit more. You see, so before and then after, it's just helping your style kind of have that little bit of extra clarity throughout, and I think it works quite nicely, to be honest. And what if I did it on Cyclops? I'm just trying it out now. There we go. So before and then after. The other thing with Cyclops, again, just more of the refining in the suits and the muscles. You can get like a near black tone again, and I would just bring some of that in, get some proper contrast going through wherever his muscles are under there. There we go. You can kind of see what I've done. So without and then with, you see just that extra bit of clarity on him. Like with the black, just some kind of black, dense, structure to the muscles and stuff. Because at the moment, without that, it's kind of looking a bit too flat. Do you know what I mean? And even though you have rendering there, it's a little too. There's no contrast in the rendering. It's all kind of nearly all the same kind of tone, the same kind of blue. So a bit of even something like this would help structure it. And same with the mouth again too. I'd probably add a lot more black through the inside of the mouth, or just darken it a lot. So something like that. See how the mouth is now a lot more dense, because it's pretty much pure black when you open your mouth, like really darkened on the inside. So I'd do it like that. One more thing I'd recommend, since you've got such a close-up look at him, I would have loved to see the teeth more refined, even just detailing throughout the teeth lines. Actually structure some of the teeth. You don't have to make them super obvious, but since his mouth is wide open, you get a really good look. I would have probably drawn in some of the lines that shape where everything belongs, kind of thing. There we go. So I've just redefined the teeth a little more as well. So you can see there's a lot more detail through the back teeth. I probably should have darkened those a little more now I'm looking at it. Or just outlined them completely. But yeah, because you've got such a close look at his face, I recommend detailing the teeth a lot more. And then you'll get a lot more structure throughout. And that's really all it needed. It was just a little flat overall. Same with the hair. I'd probably make the hair look a little more hairy. It is looking good. It's got the streaks through it. But it's a little too sketchy. I'd probably try and clean it up, make it more obvious, the hair strands more obvious, and just go really bold with it, really strong highlights, and give that a go. And just add shadowing where we need shadowing, like under here. You could just darken that kind of stuff out like this, wherever there's going to be little streaks of darkness underneath. And but just keep trying. And a few other things I might try and point out, just trying to highlight anything that might help you. I feel like Gambit's legs here might be a little too bendy, or maybe some sharper edges, or just some more structure through the shin there. Make that longer, and the foot could be a little more structured, more edgier, I think, more like a shoe. A little too rounded off there at the moment. And the contrast, so with him, I'd probably say things are okay through the suit here and through the body. You could have a little bit of contrast. I'd also add that black, like I said, some more dense black through the pants, since they're supposed to be more of a black tone. But when you get to the jacket, I'd actually love to see more wrinkles, like wrinkles in clothing. That's something that would be really good practice, just to muck around with folds and rendering. Because at the moment it's just too straight up and down, too smooth. And the hair as well, a little bit more through the hair. And overall, when I look at it from a distance, right, so from about here, I can't help but feel like my eye gets drawn to the empty spaces through here. If I were you, I'd probably work out a way to just remove this empty space up through here, all up through there. That's kind of bothering me a little bit. Whether you rearrange it by bringing all of this on the left, I'll see if I can do it. I don't know, even if you just had that all the way pulled over here like that, then I'd have to get her arm back over, wouldn't I? Yeah. But I feel like even that is better. Pulling it all closer, closing in that gap, that was just bothering me a bit. And now these guys aren't too far off to the left, because in the original they're a little bit too close to the left. It's not major, but Wolverine could definitely do with coming over to a more interesting point about there. And the last thing I want to mention is probably just the explosion in the back. The way that it's done, technically, I feel like it's throwing me off a little bit from the picture. It's just a little too blotchy. I think it's the style or the brushes that were used. It's a little too blurred out. I'd probably take a different approach. Now I've got, this is one that I've done a little while ago. I did it for a tutorial, so I might just steal that and bring it over, see if we can, just so I can show you what potentially the changes it could make. And I'll just put that around here somewhere. Alright, there we go. Just as a test, you can see the difference in, like, if you chose a different style of the explosion. So more of a comic kind of style, or just, I don't know, I think it's the sharper kind of tones and the rendering would work nicely and help complete this piece a little bit, because the explosion before, it's a little odd to the art style, and I couldn't help but be distracted by that, the way that it was done. So maybe that might help, changing that up. And I think overall as well, just try and play around with the levels. I feel like some parts are too dark here and there. I don't know. I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit. You still want to have a bit of density as well. Obviously, like, really have everything popping. But yeah, I'm trying to brighten it up a little bit. I might just hide these effects so we can get those changes I made in Cyclops and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Hope pointing all that out kind of helps in some way. And yeah, really love your work. So thanks, Patrick. All right, next up we've got Andrew. And you've done Rogue here with Wolverine from X-Men 97. Really cool piece. I like how she's just embracing him and he's just like, get off me. That's pretty cool. I like that idea. Yeah, the reason I chose it, I thought this would be a good, there's just a few things I want to kind of point out that kind of stood out to me a little bit here and there. I think the first, like, I really like this, by the way, overall. I think it's a cool piece. You've done a really good job. I feel like Rogue, something about it, I was about to say, I feel like she might be too big compared to Wolverine here. But it's not really that. I feel like it might be his body that's different. Yeah, so I've just changed up a little bit there. So that's what it was before, and that's what it is now. You see what I've done? I've just sized up his body, just the body. I grabbed the body and I sized it up. I also sized down her in the original. But yeah, have a look. I just feel like his body was a little too small or too short or something. A little too little, you know what I mean? So I sized him up a fair bit on his body. Yeah, and I can't help but feel like, see, the way that her hair is done here, it's just coming across as a little bit too, like, grey. It's too dark. So what I would do is I'd probably just lighten it all overall to like a white tone like that. So before it was like that, now it's like that. So it's just the darker tones were too dark. And now you get the line work popping out a little more, which is cool. And I feel like that's more Rogue-like, because her hair is kind of pretty iconic. So I wanted to make sure that that was lightened up just right. Just a few tweaks on Wolverine's face here. I feel like we need to just adjust his forehead a little bit. I think his forehead might be a little bit too big. So I'm going to bring all this down. And I've just sized his ear up a little more. So before it was a little small, too small, and a little bit pointy on the top end. So I just smoothed that out, made it bigger. I've also pulled his eye out this way more, so a little bit to the right. Before his eyes were too close together. So I've just parted those a little bit. I've raised that eyebrow slightly. And he's also, it's just an expression thing where he's kind of looking up at her a little more. And just a little bit broader around the chin and jawline area. I sized it up. But yeah, the hairline needed to be kind of fixed a little bit there. So I just fixed that up. Alright, so I'll press OK on that. You can kind of see from a distance, before and after. Just a few changes there. Now, because the characters are so big and large, you know, and it's a big focal point as well. Yeah, you want to make sure that everything's proper with the faces. I really like her face. That's done well. I wouldn't change much about that. I think that's good. Just feel like a little bit with the jaw. Let me just get my brush. Sorry, the facial hair. I'd just love to see it a little bit more scattered and rough. See what I mean? So before and then after, just a little bit more scattered and scruffier. Because before it was just a little too clean, the way that the hair just stops. And then I just thought it was a little too clean. I'd like to spread it out and make it a little bit rougher. I feel like this vein as well, a little bit too perfect. So I'm going to mix it up a bit more. Here we go. So I've just done some editing on the vein there. Oops, sorry. It's more subtle, even with the line work on it. And yeah, like the way the original was a little too straight through. So definitely mix that up a little bit, something like that. I feel like this muscle and these black outlines here are a little too prominent. I would actually get, when you get to your outlines, see, I think that's pure black. Yeah, pure black. So instead of doing pure black on some of these inner muscles, I would actually colorize some of these to just ease up on it. You know what I mean? Like, so it just looks a little nicer. And I'd avoid going pure black outlines in the skin tone parts. And even here, I'd just soften this whole area up a bit. That's the original, and then now just softened up with the skin tone right through all of the muscles. So see the black outlines through here, the detailing, a little too harsh they are for me. So I'm just toning them down a little bit and lightening it all up. I just feel like that might work a little better. You know, and I'd probably even do the same for some of this rendering on the side of the face. It's a little too dark. I would probably lighten that up somewhat. Same with the little skin tone. So the lines on that part a little too dark, so I'm going to lighten them up a little bit. I just think that would look a little bit nicer, especially on the brow there. I lightened that a fair bit, so you can kind of see how that's changed. Yeah, same with her, just it's a little too dark on that skin tone. The rest, I think, I like how you've done the folds and the clothing. They're a little bit, almost a little too sharp, sorry. You can see the jagged, a little too jagged, a little too sharp, and they're almost too much the same. You see you've got all these little triangles coming through. So I'd mix it up a little bit more like that, so before they were just a little too perfect. So I've done like a Z shape there, I've done a little sketchy line there and breaking it up with another inconsistent kind of part there. Now I've just kind of joined that little part down there. But yeah, I do the same through the wrinkles in these clothes. Just really try and make everything kind of, you know, just mess it up a little more. You can add smaller lines to kind of help with smaller wrinkles. Just make it a little more rougher, a little more inconsistent, and not so perfectly sharp. But that's about it. I reckon that's really all it needed for the detail wise. Overall, I think it just needs some kind of backdrop, really, to really finish it all. So there's the original, and there's now. You can see the difference between both of those, and the changes, the hair. But yeah, if you had some kind of backdrop to keep it interesting, that'd really pull this whole thing together. And yeah, I think you've done a really good job there. All right, Andrew, hope that helps. And yeah, love your work. All right, so that'll be it for this monthly project. I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun with all this, seeing so many submissions come in for this project. I think it was great. I hope you all had a blast with it. Lots of fun. So many options with X-Men 97. There's a lot of really cool characters, you know. And I think you all did great. I think this was a really good, fun one. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next project. Yeah, and if you are new to my monthly projects, feel free to jump on board. Head over to patreon.com/Patrick Brown. You can join in on these monthly projects. I also have tutorials out regularly, and we do art competitions. We have a whole art community on Discord as well, so it's a really nice place for an artist to be. So yeah, feel free to join in. Alright, thank you everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.